Hello, hi, welcome to the Rose Taste Test universe, in which I taste test certain genres or tropes to see what I like about them. This is the second part of the Romantasy, which there's gonna be like a dozen parts because this is a list of all the books I want to do. Only 3 are checked off from the first one. The whole entire vlog will be up above in the cards. There's like 2 out in the whole entire universe, 1 other Romantasy. It's this whole thing. Okay, I'm here to talk to you early, before I start editing the books, because I know 2 of them I actually planned for this month, right? And one of them is like 700 pages, and so I need to start it earlier rather than later. For my own sanity. You don't hear any computers or any birds outside. We're ignoring the other sounds. Did I not cross off divine? No, I did. It's up top. I'm blind. I finished one. That was not the one I said. I haven't even started Blood Mercy yet. We're ignoring that. Anyways, the next prompt in a readathon was violent words in the title, and the one I had was the Dagger and the Flame, which is one I want to do for this vlog. This is also the 5th one from the 7, I think. From the Simon Teen vlog where I read the first 10% of every free book on Simon Teen, right? In the month of December. There were 7 I want to continue as soon as possible. And then I think there was like 2 or 3 that I want to like sit down and try, but like I wasn't so sure about, and like start over and we'll wait and see, right? This was one of the 7. This is one of the 7. This is the 5th of the 7. 3 out of 5 of those were 5 stars, this one included. One of the other ones was also a Romantasy. I love that for me. The 2 others were kind of mystery-esque / horror. So that's something about me. And those I think were both 3.5. Don't come in on that. I forgot I had even read Tender Beast. And that has a whole dedicated vlog. Okay. We love the lens flare. I feel like, what's his name? Star Trek. I can't remember his name all of a sudden, but you know who I'm talking about. From the Star Trek films. That's the main thing I know him from. Why do I want to say his last name's Abrams? That actually may be right. Anyways, that's not the point of this. The point of this is me to tell you about The Dagger and the Flame, a book I read. What? Okay, so like, a picture, Romantasy, Romeo and Juliet. Kind of, but instead of warring families, it's warring factions in, like, there's this magic called Shade, and there's 2 groups, there's 2 factions that use it, and there's the one side that, which are the, not the flames, I have to say that because the other one's daggers, the cloaks, and the cloaks are thieves. They use the magic, they wear the magic so it doesn't like physically harm them, and use it to steal from people, right? The other faction is the daggers, who drink it. It slowly kills them over time, and they use it to kill people, right? And the leader of the daggers put a hit on the main character, Seraphina's mother, killed her mother, the house burned to the ground, and is now hunting her down, and sent his basically adoptive son, kind of, but definitely gives manipulative type energy, ransom to hunt her down. Except then, like, weirdly, she's able to protect herself from the dark magic, because of a gift of her mother's, and also, I should also mention there's this background of the warring societies where the original leaders of these societies were brothers. So that's also another thing. And there was like a whole war when one of them killed their sister, because she apparently secretly was the first one to come up with the light magic that can defeat the Shade, right? So that's a whole thing. So she is trying to get revenge on the guy who called the hit on her mother. Validly. Also, I totally did guess the connection there. But I'm not mad about it. It was still good. Meanwhile, she's also trying to survive ransom and figuring out what's happening. Also, there's beasts attacking the city. Beast of Shade. And so she's also trying to solve that, because also the only thing that can stop it is the magic her mother gave her, the light magic. But then it gets destroyed in the one act of using it to save Ransom accidentally. That's the thing. So, like, she needs to make more of that to stop the monsters, but also kill Dupart, the leader of the Daggers, who called the hit on her mother, while also trying to survive Ransom. But then banter happens, and then more than banter happens, and then I'm pretty sure he against a wall in the middle of Shade. I'm pretty sure there's also like 16 billion monsters there. Because she had tamed them at that point. Iconic actually. Iconic actually. Right? And so basically, this all comes to fruition with her having all the power, all the light power, and he's being in charge of the main force of the dark power in order to stop them from hunting her down for killing the previous leader. That's what it boils down to. This whole entire thing was basically a setup for book 2, which I have to wait 6 months for. That's not a lie. It's December 2nd that it comes out. And in which he is ruling the Daggers to protect her. Should I put the spoiler? I'm going to say spoilers for this part. Like, cut to the end of this clip if you don't want to know spoilers, because this is, I want to say about a year old only. But basically, now he is the leader of the Daggers. Something he never wanted. He wanted freedom from them. That's how their whole relationship started. So he gave up their freedom, knowing that if he didn't protect her by being in charge himself, then they would all hunt her down and kill her for killing Dupart. Even though technically she didn't kill him. And she is now trying to figure out a way to destroy Shade overall for good with her new weird lightning powers to save him from this future and then go off together. Iconic. Also the parallels of everything. There's so many parallels in the story. It's so good. It's so good. Anyways, 5 stars. I think in these I'm supposed to say a thing I learned about my reading taste and blah 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 blah. Not the ant. Oh my god, ant season. Soon it's gonna be fly season. That's worse, honestly. Those are right in your face. Anyways, what was I saying? The thing I learned, this one. Honestly, it just clicked in my brain because I saw a video about this recently, and I don't remember whose video it was. I will hopefully remember to put it in the description. I'm gonna look it up right now. Don't worry. We all know how my brain works. Erica. That's all her name is? Okay. I'll put Erica's video in the description. But basically, following the idea of people, adult readers who read YA wanting more spice in YA, which, right? Like, you don't, it's for young adults. You don't want your adults reading spot. And this one, it's not extremely out there, but it's definitely, it's more on the, like, 16, 17, 18 age range, right? It's not in the 14 where the age range starts, because apparently it's the largest age range ever. A large range. Anyways, there's this whole point she makes in it about how, a lot of the times YA books are so good, why we're all gravitating towards YA books is because they can't stand on smut alone, like a lot of adult romances, or romantasy. It has to actually have good plot and world building and characters and all the stuff, and the banter has to be delicious, which it was in this. And so that was already in my brain, and then I was like halfway through this and I went, oh, that's why I'm fucking loving this, because it's not, instead of all this focus on smut, it's more about their bond, which is where the parallels that are everywhere through the story come in. And that's why you care so much, and oh my gosh, because of all those parallels, and because of that, it's just able to have more of an actual, one, the world building was good, but also their bond, their banter, their relationship, everything about that was so much better. The devastation, because it couldn't just stand on smut. I had to, like, actually be there. And I'm not saying, like, every YA is better, or every smut book is just smut, and therefore that's all it's really good for. In the end, I'm just saying, I think I get her point. I think I get her point, and I think that's why I love this one. And then the other one of the Simon teams that I also loved, and also Divine Rivals, because I forgot to do this for Divine Rivals in the last episode, which is also YA, in which, similar to this, is, like, more of the, like, 17, 18-year-old range, where there's, like, one little, like, sprinkling of spice, but, like, you don't actually see anything, like, you just put the pieces together, you know, they bang-a-langed, right? And it's so good, okay? I get it. I get what she's saying. I agree. Book good. 5 stars. Will I ever start Blood Mercy? Wait to find out. Oh, hi. It has been many moons since I updated you. I just realized I have to update the tracker. I don't remember when I read Dagger and the Flame. It was titled something like that. I don't remember when I read. I don't remember. It's end of October now. That gives you an idea of how long somebody has been filming this. I think if I DNF it, I'm gonna do an X, right? Like, that makes sense. Anyways, I'm here because I DNF'd a book. I started yesterday. I only got like 20 pages in. I read another 20 pages today. I'm 44 pages in, which is only 7%. But here's the thing. My argument is that normally my main issue is only expanding on itself, right? And then also, normally, when I decide to DNF a book, I wait the 10% to see if, like, it ignites a passion in me or something. I don't know. Even though I'm technically only 7%, 44 pages is 10% of a normal book. It's not my fault. This book is nearly 800 pages. Anyways, I'm here to talk about the City of Gods and Monsters. And I did go on Reddit. I know, how dare I? To see what's going on here. And apparently it's a consensus. Apparently, even with, like, that big fans of the series, that book 1, not the best, kind of mid at best. And the rest of the series does get better. Excuse me if I don't want to read nearly 800 pages to get to better. Also, apparently it gets darker. And dark romantasy, I don't think is my thing. I don't think is my thing. Because dark romance is rarely my thing. So, I don't think that's gonna be for me. Anyways, yeah. Also, like, I really know one of the funniest comments on this Reddit post was, 1, better ran than this book. 2, was so funny. It made me laugh so hard. The way they described it is that book 1 is like season 1 of a TV show that is on CW and then is canceled. Like, CW would cancel anything, but it's then canceled, and then Netflix buys it and makes it darker and grittier for the rest of the series. That did make me laugh. Anyways, it's not even the writing. Like, the writing in general, it's giving, it's been a long time since I've read Crescent City, but it's giving Crescent City Light, the first book in that series. And that's, listen, I wouldn't put points against it for that or anything, but I would like everyone to know, from page 1, there's a giant ass contradiction in the characters of this book. And so I can't get into the characters to get into this universe because it's just glaring in my face. Let me explain what this is. Lauren, she just made a big point about pronouncing her name in this book properly to a cop. Anyways, so she is a human. She is the adoptive sister of Dallas, who is a witch. Humans are basically food for every other magical creature in this universe. So it's dangerous for her at all times. Also, she has like fancy diabetes, I guess. Oh my no. And so the book starts out with her out clubbing with Dallas, her sister, and another witch who is a good friend. And immediately, it is Dallas picking a fight with a werewolf because the werewolf spilt his drink on Lauren, and not realizing that Lauren's way of like being invisible and avoiding people and other creatures is her way of survival. That's her fighting. That's her way of survival. And by starting a fight with a bunch of werewolves in the middle of a club, she's clearly gonna be targeted. She's the weak link here. And so she's in danger, and she's putting her even further in danger. And then when she tries to complain about it, she's like, fucking deal with it. And then she's like, okay, let's walk alone at night when there's literal demons out there in high heels, and also berates her from not bringing her fantasy insulin when she didn't even know she was going out clubbing tonight. Like, I'm sorry. How am I supposed to believe these two people are sisters? The whole entire premise of this book is around fantasy mob people getting her. I don't know. They're going after Lauren for some reason. Speaking of which, I'm pretty sure the love interest is also after her. That was like the second chapter, him getting the job to go after her as well. Listen, I can see from 10 miles away what's happening there. I don't need to read the book to guess what's happening there. Okay, I'm good. Anyways, so I assume she goes to him for help, and then, oh my god, secretly the person he's been looking for the whole time is her. I'm assuming that's what's happening in this book. Anyways, on this walking home, in which she was very adamant not wanting to do this because of how dangerous it is. They are attacked, and she is the target for these people for unknown reason. Like, it's people put like millions of dollars to kidnap her, right? And they get her best friend, the other friend, instead, because they can't get a hold of her and the police are coming. And then she's questioned by the police, and she at school, at a tour of the school, she notices that one of them had a weird tattoo that doesn't fit any of the orders, and one of the kidnappers did. And so she's like, that's suspicious, that's weird. And she notices it at the school. So then she brings it up to Dallas, and Dallas is all like, oh my god, get over yourself. And Lauren's like, I'm gonna get her back with or without your help, right? And Dallas is like, okay, sure, whatever. And I'm supposed to believe this trio of friends is so strong that Lauren will put herself in constant danger in order to get her friend back, when the only other person we have seen her more with is her sister, who treats her like trash. I can't believe the plot of this book, because the whole entire characters are contradicted. How the characters are contradicted, and it bothers me so much from like the first chapter, from the first scene. I can't handle it. So DNFing it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyways, I'm not mad about it because I'm not reading nearly 700 pages to then do this wonderful thing called finally get to good. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not wanting the Cassandra Clare. Thank you very much. Anyways, the end. Goodbye. Hello, hi. It's been many moons, and I'm finally a good chunk way through the next book. I said a good chunk, 53%. Whoops. 45% of that today, just now, which is Prince of Fortune. Apparently nobody's heard of this book. I didn't know that. Thanks Simon Teen, December Reads, for making me pick it up. So far, listen, I didn't know if I was gonna DNF it, because to give a basic explanation of why I'm not liking it, it's like if Divine Rivals was mixed with another book that nobody's heard of, Dark of the West, right? With just a sprinkling of Red Queen in there. And Dark of the West and Red Queen were very mid for me, and it's my favorite parts of Divine Rivals is done not well, and the romance aspect I actually like. The romance isn't bad. The thing with that isn't. I think in the last one of these I did Divine Rivals. The thing with that one is that there's like this whole enemies to lovers, you know, type thing, where they're like academic rivals, but like co-working rivals and whatnot. But there's also the secret letter thing. Like, all that is very interesting. Instead, it's just like, I saw a review where someone said it was first love in first 2 minutes, which is accurate. Edmund, who is the prince, and Aubrey, it's either Aubrey or Audrey. I could look this up. Aubrey. Aubrey's father, so like he comes from like a lowly lord family where like after a certain amount of generations the lord title will no longer exist, right? And his generation is the last generation. He's the youngest brother, so he's gonna be the last lord. Aubrey. Aubrey's not the last name. I don't remember what his last name is, but his father is best friend with the king, who is Edmund's father. Edmund, there's like magic in this world, and Edmund has a lot of he's considered the Prince of Fortune, which is like this whole magical thing where every, like, the royals generally have magical powers, but every once in a while it's given in deeper waters a little bit with this as well by F.T. Lukens, which is great because I knew F.T. Lukens was like, for readers who enjoyed this would love that type thing on Goodreads. And I slightly disagree. I do see how if you like F.T. Lukens writing you could like this one, I will say that. But it's given more of the F.T. Lukens I don't like, so we love that. But this aspect does give me a little bit of in deeper waters where every like few generations there is one royal born with the powers of fortune, essentially being power over weather and plants, which is really great when you have a whole kingdom of people to feed. That makes sense to me. That seems like that's a very important power, right? And so he's the first one in generations, like so long since that like the records of when one is born, an earthquake happens, had been forgotten. Like, that's how long it's been. And Aubrey is a seer. Seers are like a thing regularly. There's like two of his siblings, two of his brothers, I think, are also seers. So it's like a common thing. And basically seers have been seen that Edmund will be the great prince, or great king, who will bring prosperity, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to bring up that this is a standalone. I don't know how this is a standalone. Maybe I do. It's 400 pages and it feels very slow. Anyways, then after Aubrey has some visions where he thinks Edmund, there's been talks of a war coming, but now the war's officially coming. This is where we get the Divine Rivals aspect, right? And so they're dealing with that. But also like I kind of get on Edmund's side because Edmund's been like the sheltered prince, soon to be king, type. So he doesn't really understand how to talk to people. And when he tries to talk to people about things that he's interested in, they just eyes glaze over, right? But Aubrey, when he talks to him about strawberries, he's just like into it. He doesn't like not make fun of him because he's a prince, so nobody would make fun of him, but he doesn't think that it's like a dumb fact. Like, he has magical plant powers. I assume he's gonna know things about plants, right? And he thinks it's really cool that he knows a bunch of stuff about cultivating plants, and making a bunch of strands of different types of berries, or different versions of like strawberries and whatnot that make it so they're hardier and able to grow in harsher climates better, which is like an important thing for your people. Again, I can see how this power is important. Anyways, yeah, this war is happening. They're both like 17 and being trained to fight in the war. It's like a thing, like how in English royals you have to like join the service, right? for a few years. Like, that's the thing for Edmund's family too. But there's an actual war happening, and Aubrey like, so everybody has to join. So Aubrey's also there, and it's a lot of people being like, we should try to force a 17-year-old man. Listen, there's also, I see the comparisons of Red, White, and Royal Blue. Like, the synopsis says it, and I could see it where, like, it's this whole thing where, like, they're very into this prince's life, that does not seem safe and okay. Do we all remember Princess Diana? Right? That type of situation. Like, you shouldn't be into who the prince's pants are in, but also try to figure out who he's going to be forced to marry. But, like, his parents are very big on the idea that they should marry whoever they want. Being as, and hear me out, he's 17. Right? So it's like them trying to figure out how to be a couple, but with the public eye on them constantly. But it's so instant lovey. It's just, like, so annoying. And it's my least favorite aspects of a lot of books that I've read. So it doesn't feel like anything new. So that's my review so far. I'm like 53% of the way through. I'll finish it by noon tomorrow, and I'll update you. Goodbye. It's after 11 p.m. I have to get ready for bed. Why am I awake? Don't ask. Hello? I was in the process of painting my nails. Literally just opened up this. Hit play on audiobook because I was gonna listen while I did this, and then play some video games. Because Prince of Fortune is good for that. Because it's so slow. Like, how long is this audiobook? I'm halfway through, and there's still 6 hours, a little over halfway through. So there's 12 and a half hours in this 400-page book. It's 416 pages. That, like, you read as many books as I do, and you can tell what the ratio normally is, and that feels a little off. The stupid top of this is crusted, so I don't want to close it all the way. I'm not gonna paint my nails with this update. Anyways, I'm like half ready to film. I did the basics of my hair, but I haven't done my makeup yet, but I'm not. Alright, I pressed play for 5 seconds. And it went 1 year later. And I went, haha, no. I'm not the biggest fan of time jumps in books like this, where it's just, like, I don't see a reason why, right? And, like, I don't know how to explain why this bothers me so much, but it does. And then the fact that, like, I was kind of dreading for having to spend 2 hours of my day, trying to fit time into doing this while also doing all the other stuff, because, like, it is December 1st. I have to bring this up. It is December 1st. And so there's, like, a bunch of other work I have to do today. But instead I have to take 2 hours to read this book. And then, like, yeah, with my nails I can do both at the same time. But it's, like, annoying. And so I was dreading picking it up already. And then he did that. And it does nothing new. It's just a blob of a bunch of other YA fantasy with a little bit of romance that I've read before, so many I've read before, just put together into a book with a beautiful cover that's queer. I say this, the writing style, I think I have the same issue with F.T. Lucan's, where sometimes it takes me a minute to get into F.T. Lucan's books, especially as time passes as I get older, right? Because this is another thing. I'm 26 now. 26 and a half if you're being accurate. So, like, I'm not the audience age-wise, though the only reason I feel like they're 17 is to make it so it's YA and sells better, I say, is it has less than 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. So, who knows? Anyways, I think it would be better if they were, in their early 20s. And it could still be YA, like Divine Rivals, I think still considered YA sometimes, depending on where you look. Though it would be technically new adult. Plenty of people market their YA or new adult books as YA. Look at ACOTAR initially, right? And then I think I could have liked it more if it was more for a new adult audience, because me having to read about this anxious princeling who's 17 and fighting in a war. I'm just sitting here like, oh my god, seriously. Also, I forgot this whole aspect yesterday where they met the like enemy, went across enemy lines to try to do a peace talk, and they attack him so that he has to attack them back, and then they're like, and he killed one of them in self-defense, and then they're like, see, you came here to attack us. But also, they heavily hint that the reason why their magic works against them is because they're technically from the same line or something like that, and the line that created Edmund's line of succession and whatnot, right, was kind of stolen from them, and everything is a false lie and all this stuff. I'm like, this is so basic, right? Like, I don't care. Their relationship is cute, I guess, but it's so sudden, and they're already talking about getting married, and they're 17. And I think the only part I really like is the aspect where it's like looking into like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be very worried about a 17-year-old boy getting married just because he's a prince. Like, we shouldn't care about who he's sleeping with and all this stuff. Like, that seems a little icky, that seems a little weird. There's like a specific line at one point where he says the line, or he thinks the line, when people start like really investing themselves into his relationships, because his sister's gotten married. I think it was his sister, maybe it was his cousin, something like that. Right? And so he's now the next oldest, so he's gotta, it's him next, that they're paying attention to, and he's all like, it's like, I'm public property, and then it's like, because I am. Like, I like that aspect, but it's like barely sprinkled into the book. Like, the most it's sprinkled in is when they're actually on the army bases and whatnot, and him and Aubrey are trying to have a relationship, but all the other recruits are giving Aubrey shit because he's sleeping with a prince, and all this stuff, and like, so right, like, and then it's like, why do all these people care we're at war and all this stuff? That's like the most it's sprinkled in. But like, yeah, I suddenly understand the few reviews I saw of people DNFing it like halfway through, like 47%. I get it. And somebody who is currently DNFing it, I'm just gonna because I only listened to 2 seconds today, I'm just gonna label it as DNF for yesterday, for November. So that's everything. I'm gonna go do that and then paint my nails. I'm disappointed. I say all of this, but I didn't hate the writing. I just realized that means 2 books in a row for this video are DNF. Whoops. I didn't hate the writing. I think I already mentioned this I wanted to go in depth about this, but then I went in circles. Okay, like, let me live my life. It's 10:43 in the morning. So, it's a little bit like the FT Lukens, where it takes me a little bit to get into it. Like, the most recent FT Lukens, which on Goodreads was the one that was like, hey, if you like this, read this type thing. Love at Second Sight, I think it is. The first like 15%, I wasn't having a good time, but then like once I got over the first 20%, I was having a great time, right? And I really liked it. And it's like my second favorite FT Lukens. And so the writing styles remind me like that, but like I'm 52%, I haven't gotten over that hump, right? So I think if Lisa Torreno comes out with another book, because that's another thing, this is a debut. And for debuts, it's not bad. Let me tell you, I've read way worse debuts. I've read way worse not debuts, okay? Like, this is pretty good. It's just not for me as a 26-year-old woman who, for a majority of her life, has been reading YA fantasy romances. This is just very basic. And this audiobook is so slow, and a girl doesn't have the time or energy to deal with that. It's very predictable. That's fine. That's not a bad thing. Like, I could see how if you wanted to give this to your like 15, 16, because like I say they sleep together, you see them go into the other's room, but you don't actually like know for sure, right? And they kiss a few times. So like giving it to like your 14, 15, 16-year-old would be fine. And I could see how they could really love this book. It's just not for my 26-year-old ass. Okay, that's the thing. DNF. Why? Maybe I'll read a good one. I know what the next two are going to be, and they also worry me, so I apologize in advance. I don't know why. Welcome to this game called My Computer's Loud as Fuck. It's been so long. Literally, I spent like 5 minutes staring at the journal I have written down with all the books that I want to do for this series. And I stared at it so long that I was like, which ones are the ones in this video? And I'm pretty sure the only one I've actually finished, the Dagger of the Flame, is that one. The sequel, it's been so long that the sequel has come out and I have started it. It's not going to be in this, but just so you know, that's how long it's been. What I am reading right now, I have 2 more planned for this. I think I have to re-get the audiobook of one of them. I have the audiobook of both of them, and I own one of them physically because a friend bought it for me because I run her book club and it became our January book. I say as it's mid-March and I'm only 33% of the way through. This is Quicksilver. This is the new cover edition. I prefer the old cover, by the way. I think this one came out, this like cover came out with Brimstone and they're matching. But anyways, we did a buddy read. I got very behind. In my defense, I had a lot of life stuff happening at once. And so I got behind and then I was trying to catch up and I just kept on going behind and behind and behind. So I just gave up and I haven't read it in multiple weeks now. Anyways, she bought me this and also Brimstone and also the new V. Schwab, all at the same time. Also the Brimstone is a special edition. So it's like the bronze page edges and also the artwork on the inside. It's in there. I'm not gonna go grab it just to show it to you. I did grab this because part of the reason why I'm talking to you is because one, it took me 33%, like multiple weeks to get to 33% of this book. I'm on chapter 15, page 208, and I plan to pick it back up today. I don't think I'm gonna finish it. I don't remember how long I have left in the audiobook, but because I have it on Hoopla, I can get it up to 4 times speed. But even then, I don't think that's gonna happen for me. Partially because I know I'm gonna watch TV with my sister. Also partially, because I'm not liking it. Like, this is the perfect time to update you, because we are getting, like, it's at the point where they're leaving the Fae Palace, where she's been since coming to the Fae Lands, right? So it's like kind of the perfect time to update you, because like it's gonna be a change of scenery and so it's gonna change the dynamic a little bit, whatnot. And who was it? Was it Becca? Books with Becca, is that her name? I don't remember. For the Shelter Scrap It series, one of the more recent ones was Quicksilver was in there and she read it, right? And I think we have similar issues. And then the part that I'm about to get to is apparently the part she liked the most. So that's part of the reason why I want to pick it back up. Also because the audiobook's due in 4 days and I've renewed it like 6 times. I'm sorry, Hoopla. I'm so sorry. Anyways, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's like not bad. I'm not really rooting for the romance because I don't like him. I don't like him. I think their banter's supposed to be cute to me. And instead it's one of those situations where a character is treated poorly by another character for no foreseeable reason, just because. And that's kind of what's happening here, where he kind of treats her, it's not even poorly, it's just like he's a jerk to everyone, and that includes her. And then, but he's hot, so the fact that she wants to kiss him means he likes to play games with her, and none of that seems appealing to me. Is he the guy that's going to be played by Henry Cavill? This is the reason why we were reading it, by the way. Because they saw a thing that Henry Cavill is in the adaptation. There was a rumor that Henry Cavill was going to be in it, and I went, oh, okay, so I'm going to go read it right now. And then they bought it for me so that we could all read it together, right? Because listen, we don't need to talk about how much I'm in love with Henry Cavill. That's not what we're here to talk about. Anyways, anyways, maybe I'll wake him because he's Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill can fix any character for me, okay? Case in point, The Witcher. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. You can't, because I'm right. Anyways, this is when the computer decides to shut up. What is happening in this book? It follows a character. You think I know characters' names? Saris. So she, is a thief, from this one sector of the kingdom, in the Human lands in the desert, right? Where water is like hella important, right? And she ends up stealing the gauntlet from a guard. The sector that she's from is like known for sickness and whatnot, but it's just a cover up because they tried to do a rebellion X amount of years ago, right? So she steals a gauntlet from a guard, which is like made from gold or something. And so her plan is to melt it down and use it to like build something else and then sell that, all right? Like, makes sense. Except before that can happen, her brother gets in trouble with one of her exes, so she starts arguing with one of her exes, and while she's doing that, she gives her brother, I hate this man. I don't know why she's given so much up for, I get he's your brother, but oh my god, let him stand on his 2 fucking own feet, because he needs to learn how to be a person, apparently. I don't know. Anyways, she gives him the bag that has the gauntlet in it, and then he's really good at getting into trouble, apparently. So the guards decide to corner him. Like, the guards are in the sector because they recognize that she was from that sector. So they're searching the sector. They corner him, and he causes a bunch of trouble. They're getting ready to kill her, or not kill her, kill him, when she finally finds him, and she is like, hey, actually, it's mine. It takes out a bunch of the guards, actually kills some, is taken to the queen, who is immortal but human, and so there's like a lot of questions with that, right, in the universe. Right, and she's kind of very crazy. She is confronted by the queen. There's like this higher up guard who like feels bad that she's going to definitely be killed, and all this stuff is gonna happen. Like, she's going, the whole point is she's supposed to be beat to death in front of the queen. Like, he has to beat her to death in front of the queen, and so he kind of feels bad because like she brings up good points about classism and all that aspect, but also she killed a bunch of guards. Not only killed, but she also like cut off hands of multiple, right? And so he's like, it feels bad, but also like, you did do a bad thing, right? So he's after being tortured for information, and then them threatening to go kill her whole entire family, right? She's like being beaten to death, on the verge of death, pulls out the sword. Oh no, the sword causes Quicksilver to come. She's like dying, and then out of the Quicksilver comes this, what she calls death, but it's the love interest. The other cover has his face on it, so that's why I want to point at it. Anyways, because of reasons that have to do with Fae stuff, he has Quicksilver in his blood, so he's easily able to control it, and he uses it to heal her, defeat the guard, and take her back to the Fae lands, because the portals have been closed for a long fucking time, and she somehow opened them, and so the king of the Fae lands want to use her to reopen all those portals so they can win a war. Kind of makes sense, but also, hear me out, like, it's looked upon where the Faes are like better, like the Fae are monsters to the humans, that are like false myths, right? Like the Chupacabra, right? That's like the kind of thing. Like, don't go to the wizard, the Chupacabra, it's gonna come get you. But Fae, right? So she learns they exist, and they're all like high and mighty, right, about themselves. But also, I don't understand how they're all high and mighty and be like, oh my god, you don't have equal water for everybody. That's dumb. Also, it's like the Fae lands is in the tundra, so there's so much water. That's so funny to me. Anyways, meanwhile, sexism is a big issue. She's not allowed to talk to the king directly. Yeah, that's like a whole thing where the king just assumes she's just a dumb woman, despite the fact that like one of the people who's helping her out is a close friend and possibly brother. I don't know. they tried to explain it, but I don't understand it. To Loverboy, who is the daughter of the king, and he kind of just hates every woman. He thinks women should be seen, not heard, and whatnot. And she does use that to her advantage at points, but like it's this whole thing, where it's like supposed to be like this is like a magical land where it'd be so much better for her and her family and humans in general, and maybe if she helps them out, they can help her defeat the queen, though she wants to get home sooner rather than later because her brother's in danger, right? Except this sexism is very evident. Anyways, Loverboy and her, he's like an alchemist, and so they're supposed to work together to figure out how to do this, because he's also a war criminal, and so by bringing her back, he had to come back into the kingdom, and that's looked down upon because war criminal, right? Anyways, I'm at the point where she opened up the Quicksilver again, in an attempt to go back to go get her brother. He's all like, I don't think you'll survive that, but I can go back and get your brother if you leave the castle with me and we work together, just the two of us, to figure out all this stuff, right? And so she agrees to that. He goes to get him, except he ends up picking up her ex instead of her brother. Somehow, the confusion happened. I don't know how you confuse that. I swear if they're actually related, I will kill myself. I don't want incest in this book. Anyways, so she has, her ex is knocked out on the back of the horse with a fey man who she's already kissed once, I think, and a pet fox she has rescued, and they're all going off to a different land or a different area to learn magic shit, but also the ex was technically kidnapped in order to doing this, so that's like a whole thing. Anyways, I'm honestly surprised I remember that much of it. I don't like his character. He's just a jerk to everyone, including his sister, I think. But also like his best friend, who the amount of stuff the two of them do to try to help him out, and he's just like really rude to them constantly. And I was like, don't date a man who's really rude to his sister and like best friend also, but like his sister, because that's also a woman, that like does all this stuff to help him out, like, and then he's just really mean to her and says a lot of not okay things to her. Like, red flag, girl, get out of there. I know he's hot, but get out of there, okay? The thighs are not worth it unless if it's Henry Cavill. Anyways, that is what's happening. I'm not the biggest fan. Let's see how far I get in it today. So far, my favorite part about it is how there is chapter titles. I miss those. The good old days. Anyways, I'm gonna try to get to 50%. We'll see. I'll update you when I finish it. That's for sure. Goodbye. It's Quicksilver. I gotta put this jacket back on. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it. Listen, we'll talk about it in a minute. I really wish I was recording my live reaction of the last sentence, because I just doubled over laughing so hard. What do you... That's so funny. That's hilarious. I love that. Anyways, I like the second half more. So a lot of my issues with this book I have clocked is because most of, go back on please, Kelly Hart's published books, as far as I can tell, before this was dark romance. And so it was written, the romance in this was written in the aspect in which he is like the brooding, hot, dark love interest, right? Who's always rude to her, but he has a dark past. He's pushing her away for her sake, and then she doesn't care, they end up together, blah blah blah. And so clocking that, I did clock something around that general idea was going to be happening, and then when I learned that's primarily what she wrote before this, I was like, okay, so she put some of her dark romance writing into that aspect, right? And so the whole reason I was not having fun is because I knew this was gonna be a romance between the two of them, where he is constantly really rude to her, but also part of the book, part of the lore is that they have a bond, they have an oath bond, and because of that, he can control her to do things, and he does it multiple times. I think around 65%. There's one point where he does threaten to make her sleep with him, and it's supposed to be hot. Listen, the amount of time sexual violence is threatened in this towards women in general, it's so fun. It's so fun. That's I'm not gonna go further to that. But yeah, no, he does do that one time. But threatened to do that one time, as in like flirting, side eye. But eventually, around 65%, I think, is because that's around when it started to switch, when I started to enjoy it. 50 to 65% was really difficult. That was the hardest for me. Mostly the beginning hour that I read today. There was a part where they were kissing and I was trying not to gag. Like, I was actively gagging. I was freaking out on camera. People were laughing at me. It was bad, okay? It was bad. I was not having a good time. But then she does finally confront him. There's a whole point where she is sick and she has to stay in bed, and so he controls her to stay in bed during that time. And afterwards, she makes it very clear, and this culminates in also the first full-on sex scene, right? In which he makes it very clear that she will not, like, if he controlled her one more time, like, it's done. Like, she will make his life a living hell. They will never talk again, blah, 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 all this stuff, which is very pertinent because at this point, obviously, they're gonna end up together. As a kind of spoiler, they're mates. It's kind of as you expect. It's phase. So the mate thing was expected. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Okay. So that happens. Right. They're mates. He knows this from the moment he meets her, right? And so her, like, around after the first time they sleep together, right? She like threatens this, and then he's all like backing off. He does not control her anymore. Right? And so then that aspect makes it more enjoyable for me, but also the fact that he really does a 180. He really does a 180 where he's suddenly kind of very romantic. Like, if this was a character that I had liked the whole time in a book saying these things and reacting this way, I would have eaten it up so fast. I would have been gobbling that. At that point, I had given, like, my internal rating had gone from a 2 to a 2.5, because, like, it was a little high at points. Some of the things he did or said in reaction to things I was into. Also, you can tell when a man is written by a woman because they just say, like, a whole entire paragraph, not even saying how much they love you, but how much they are devoted to you. Yeah, that happened, and I went, okay. Anyways, so, like, I was liking it more and more. Their mates, she learns this stuff. They are getting together. They're kind of in a relationship officially. Things are happening, and then the end battle at the end of the book happens. Now, I don't know how to explain this. The last 10%, the last 5%, I can't believe the sentence I'm about to say is about to come out of my mouth, was very ACOTAR mixed with Mistborn. I'm so sorry. Okay, hear me out. Quicksilver, she a lot of this book, what she's doing is she is using different metals to figure out this magical science stuff. Like, it's science, but it's also magic at the same time. And she's trying to figure it out. And Quicksilver's a big, important part of it. And she's, like, the only one that has this much control of it. That's so Mistborn. There's a thing, she goes into a Quicksilver pool again, and what happens on the other side, I don't want to spoil it, but that was so reminiscent of some of my favorite lore from Legendborn, or not Legendborn, what am I talking about, from Mistborn. And so I just sat there like, but they're also in a labyrinth, fighting monsters, and there's a riddle that he failed at earlier, and so she's trying to solve the riddle, she's trying to do the proper solution to the riddle, like you actually have to do an action, so she's trying to make that thing happen, so that riddle is completed properly, and that was very ACOTAR-esque, and then, what happens in, like, the last chapter, the last chapter was also very ACOTAR-esque, if you know, you know, she may not be human anymore, she may be half a, half something else, cough, cough, the very last sentence, oh my god. Anyways, so there's all that. There's also the fact that, like, for the end battle, they're fighting against guys who are much more powerful and are constantly magically healing and all this stuff, which was, like, a whole thing. I think it was in the first Mistborn book. So a lot of it was just a perfect combination of those two books that I was kind of eating up. And I have worked so hard in the past, like, 2 years to make it so when I read a book, if the ending is good, like, there's multiple times where I have not enjoyed the book, but the ending was actually really good. And so then I up my rating that I was going to rate it from, like, a 2.5 or a 3 to a 4. Because the ending's good, and it ends on a high note, so I'm, like, feeling that as I'm about to rate it. So, like, I'm not giving it a 4. I'm giving it a 3, but know that it's a high 3, and I really enjoyed the second half. But I enjoyed everything after 65%. I really enjoyed it after they banged. Once they finally banged, and they started communicating, and he stopped being such a jackass all the time because he was communicating with her and she was able to understand why he's a jackass all the time. I had a great time. 3 stars. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it. I really don't. I don't think so. Like, why do I need to keep this? Like, it's very big, and I don't think I'll ever reread it, and if I do reread it, I would probably do the audiobook. That's another thing I do that all the time. The issue is that I don't even think, I didn't download the graphic audiobook. I purposely didn't, but, like, I'm pretty sure there was an option between the two, and I don't like graphic audiobooks. 99.9% of the chance. I've only found one ever that I really enjoyed, and that's a book I read yesterday. But it was definitely one of those things where whenever it's a male line, he would, like, no matter which character it was, he would do it, and whenever it was a female line, she would do it, of dialogue, and I don't really like that because it usually takes me out of it, but, like, I think a lot of the issue with that was the fact that up until today, when I finished a book, which at that point I was at 44%, all of what I had read for the most part was me reading 2 chapters a day, because that was what the buddy read I was supposed to have read it in, was doing. So, by purposely not doing that and then sitting down and reading more than half of it in one sitting, I was able to get used to it, instead of just constantly turning on and off, right? And so it wasn't that bad. So if I were to reread it, I'd probably do the audiobook, but I don't see why I would, especially since I own Brimstone. Like, I'm gonna go move this onto the shelf next to Brimstone. I do want to read that sooner rather than later, just because I know how my brain works, though I don't know when book 3 is coming. Also, I forgot this funny, I had to stop the audiobook for a minute because I started laughing so hard, I made myself laugh. And I didn't even make it out loud or type in chat, I just made it to myself, in which, oh my god, okay, so running joke. I don't know if I put this in this when I talked about the Henry Cavill, which I have looked up, and he is playing Kingfisher, right? Right, but, the culmination of how you know I'm into Henry Cavill is, I was watching the first Enola, I almost said Alona, no, Enola Holmes, with Bestie, right? And there's a part where he's leaning against a tree, and I said I could climb that man like a tree, because of his thighs, okay? Like, his thighs particular in that one part, usually men don't do it for me, but Henry Cavill, and then Henry Cavill specifically during that 5 seconds, like, it was like 3 frames of the movie. I don't know. Don't ask. It really shocked Bestie. She was like, I'm sorry, what? there's a part where she goes down on him, and there's a whole aspect about his thighs in it, and I went, you know what? I don't, because, like, I heard people had been complaining about Henry Cavill playing Kingfisher, and I went, I don't care. One, because the whole reason I read the book. Two, the whole reason why, well, I was gonna read the book at that point anyways, but why I read it now, and the whole reason I'm gonna watch the adaptation is because it's Henry Cavill, okay? It's a good choice just for that. But also, it's a good choice because if there's a whole important scene about his thighs, all I'm saying is Henry Cavill's great to play. Also, that just me talking about that just reminded me of another thing that reminds me of ACOTAR, which is Kingfisher's relationship with the Vampire King, essentially, who kept him in this labyrinth, blah, 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 blah. The whole aspect reminds me of Under the Mountain in ACOTAR, right? But his relationship with him reminds me of Rhysand and Amarantha, right? Anyways, my review is 3 stars. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. I think it's Carrion? Like Carrion Birds? I don't remember. There's another Fae named Ren, and Ren, when Carrion did something that he was proud of, and he was like, I'm gonna kiss you. I could kiss you right now, or something like that. And he went, he's a sleazeball who sleeps with everybody, and he definitely doesn't mind having threesomes with men, and then he goes, I'm not sure about that. And then he looks at me and is like, actually, you know what? I'm kind of down. And so I want them to be together. I am 90% sure Ren has a thing with Kingfisher's half-sister, but I don't care about that. I want the two of them to be together. That's my headcanon. I always gotta have one. Anyways, that's my review of this. 3 stars. I can see why people like it. I can see, especially the ACOTAR girlies, I can definitely see why they like it. Okay? I'm just, when there's a brooding, hot, dark, tall, dark, and handsome, male interest, I need him not to be a jackass for more than half the book. I'm sorry, that's just, like, my main complaint. That's it. I'm gonna go. I do know what the next book's gonna be. Will I ever read it? I don't know. I might change it. Should I change it? Because I keep on putting it off. This is the issue. Both of the books that I want to end this video with, I am so scared to read, which was this and the next one. So I just kept on putting it off. Because I wasn't sure if I was going to like them, and they're so popular. To the point where the sequel to Dagger of Flames, which I know is in this video, the video that's for is almost done. The sequel that I read in that video is almost done. That's how behind I am on this video, but that's fine. 3 stars. I'm gonna go put this on the bookshelf and probably actually go read that sequel if I'm gonna be honest. Goodbye. I'm so happy that I enjoyed this more than I expected, especially with how much I disliked the first half. Oh my god, I was dying. The end. Goodbye. I'll talk to you when I read the next book. That I may change what is. I don't know, man. I don't know. To give you an idea of how much I didn't want to read this last book. This is the original list. This book I put on this list. The bonus list. Because I ran out of space. Listen, I was trying to figure out why I didn't want to read The Games Gods Play. That's what it's called. Which I just DNF'd. I'll talk about it in a minute. I'm not talking about 3 out of 5. Listen. I have edited the rest of this video. I stand by The Games Gods Play, and the fact that the Prince of Fortune, I don't know what happened. That would have been a 3 star. It would have just been a mid 3 star, and that wasn't what I was in the mood for at that time. Sometimes I can just read the rest of the book and deal with that, but not that one. This lighting is great. Anyways, similar issue with Games God Play. It's kind of the mix of my issues in those two, which I love for me. Anyways, I was trying to figure out why I didn't want to read it, and then I realized, it's Greek mythology fatigue. That's what it is. It's that, like, everything is like being especially Hades and Persephone-eyed, right? And so like there's a few on my TBR still, and I'll probably wait like 5 years until like it's not everything to me, where it's like just constant. Otherwise I think the only Greek mythology books I'm going to be reading is the Percy Jackson universe and Dark Olympus by Katie Robert. And my defense for that one also is that I think Dark Olympus is actually part of the reason why I'm having the fatigue, but that one is almost done. Like the last book comes out this year, and I do plan to catch up before it comes out and then read it when it comes out. So like in my defense for that one, that's gonna be done this year. Right, it's not gonna be a problem. Anyways, also the reason why I'm willing to read both of those is it doesn't ignore the issues of the Persephone-Hades relationship. A lot of the things the gods did in the mythology is not ignored in those books. They're jerks. They gotta pay their child support. Percy Jackson reference. Anyways, and I got that vibe a little bit in this one, where like the gods are bad guys. Like, okay, the main character, whose name I do not remember, I literally just put it down. Okay, and she, I guess said exactly like this apparently, is cursed. This was giving big something Zeus would do type vibes. And my greatest comparison of this, it was brought up of where she's like, well, at least I don't have snakes for her, comparing to Medusa. But essentially, her parents went to pray to Zeus when her mother was pregnant, and she went in labor in the temple, and he didn't like the fact that her water breaking and getting all over his temple. So he cursed their child, who was the main character, to make it so she is unlovable. Nobody could love her, all this stuff. And not just like in a romantic sense, but also like in a familial sense and a friendship sense. So she is alone. Like as far as like, yeah. Anyways, she is, there's like this whole thing where families will give up their babies, will give their children, to guild of thieves, right? To pay off their debts, and then the children have to work off of those debts by thieving. That's how the guild of thieves is built up. She is like in her early 20s, she's like 22, and has already paid off hers. She just has nowhere else to go. So she's essentially a clerk. She's like a really bad thief, so she's just essentially the clerk for the thieves, right? And supposed to be put in charge. She has a crush on this guy. There's like this whole thing where like she's not lovable, so she feels awkward. This is where we get the crux of one of my main issues. I was trying to figure out why I was having issues connecting with her character. Like everything that I've said so far makes her feel like I should enjoy her character, right? Or at least understand her. But I was looking at reviews. I was like trying to look at reviews to see like, did anybody else put in words? Because I need to understand this. I did see other people having similar issues. The only way I can describe it is like the way she's written is her internal monologue is very written like 16, 17-year-old, but her outer personality, the way she portrays herself to the world, is very standoffish for obvious reasons, and confident and all this stuff. So there's a lot of contradiction in her character, and unlike Gods and Monsters, or whatever that book was, where that one, I don't think was done on purpose. I feel like this is done on purpose. I feel like it's, and if I read the whole entire book, it would make sense. But, and hear me out, this book is over 600 pages. This is the other issue. Why? In what world? It does not need, like, I have issues with the length of, like, Onyx Storm. Like, I like Fourth Wing. I still think it's a little long. And it's worse when it comes to Iron Flame and Onyx Storm for me, because I didn't like those as much. And they're even longer, right? Like, why is it so long? It makes no sense in my brain, especially since there's also the aspect that the sequel came out somewhat recently, and people have very valid complaints about it being very similar to the first one, I think, is the complaints. Listen, I get the complaints between Brimstone and the sequel to this confused, so I don't remember which one was the one that was like, hey, the sequel's like very similar to the first one. Don't want to reread the same book again, especially if it's over 600 pages. Very valid. Right? Right? Like, and you may be like, why didn't you DNF Quicksilver then? And the answer is, I contemplated it so many times. You do not understand the amount of contemplation I had of DNFing that book. But somebody bought it for me. So I was like, and the sequel at the same time. So I was like, I have to read it because they bought it for me. Like, to DNF a book for the book club that I run, I have to go through so many cycles in my brain before I finally do it. And I've only DNF'd one, right? And it took me like 50% of the book to get to that point. And so, like, and by the 50% in Quicksilver, I was actually slowly starting to like it more. But also the fact that it was bought for me as well as the sequel. And I was like, I'm not gonna DNF it. Like, I feel bad. So I'm gonna push through, and whatnot. Also, people kept on telling me to continue because they had finished it and they said the ending was a wild time and I should finish it. So I was like, okay, fine, I guess I'll sit down and finish it. And it was a wild time. Anyways, back into plot. She is angry, because, there's like a whole confrontation because the loneliness epidemic, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? So she goes to the Temple of Zeus. This is like the night where these trials are about to begin, where there's this whole ceremony where all the gods of Olympus choose their champions, and the champions go and fight trials and combat and whatnot, and whoever wins, that god is the king of Olympus, and Zeus is just undefeated, I guess. Hades has never done this before. He's not, from my understanding, not supposed to be able to do this because he already rules the underworld, so like ruling the overworld as well, that's too much power for one guy to have. Understandable. And so he's not supposed to do this. Anyways, she angry at Zeus for cursing her, goes to his temple ready to break some shit when a guy stops her, and they have this whole conversation. She says that she's unlovable, turns around and realizes he's Hades, and he's all like, bitch, I don't understand how you're unlovable, and immediately starts giving her a pet name. Like, immediately. Like, less than 50 pages in. I stopped at 42 pages. I read all of part 1, which is only 42 pages. Anyways, where I ended off, he chooses her as his champion, blah, blah, blah. My understanding is she's supposed to go, do these trials, and she, makes friends and is helpful towards people in the trials, and whatnot, which it does not feel like something her character would do. I'm just gonna say that now. As somebody who has just read like a few reviews. Anyways, she has a romance with Hades as like also he's forcing her to do these trials against her will. Here's the thing. Reading the synopsis in which he's forcing her to do these trials, in which she will have to see people die. No matter what she sees, she's gonna be traumatized, even if she survives all this stuff. And the guy who is putting her in this situation is the guy who's her love interest. I knew this going in, and so I expected also the fact that he's Hades. I guess it's supposed to be like this whole commentary about how like Hades isn't actually a bad guy, you know, the thing that's in all of these books. Cough, cough, Dark Olympus, Neon Gods, the reason why I liked it so much is he kind of is a bad guy. He's just not as bad as Zeus, because Zeus covers it up, and then he's like the good guy. Meanwhile, Hades is blatantly bad guy. And he's like, yeah. And so, and also, like, not a bad guy towards the disenfranchised and his people. You know, anyways, he like, I could see what they're trying to do there. It's the thing that's in, like, all these books. And he's, like, immediately suave and attractive and nice to her and understanding, and the only person she's, like, had a connection with ever. I assume the curse doesn't work on him, but also, like, something about, like, is the first, because of the curse, it's the only time she's felt this level of a connection with a person. and they fall in love, blah, blah, blah. He's like immediately so soft. I was expecting this to be like Quicksilver, where he's a jerk in the beginning. I was expecting her to come in here and be like, yeah, I already talked about in Quicksilver section how I don't like it when, like, the first half of the book, if he's a jerk and then suddenly they sit together and he's not a jerk anymore. That's not my thing, right? But that wasn't a thing in this, and it felt weird. Anyways, the end. Oh yeah, my other thing was that if I did read all of it, it would be a 3-star. And hear me out, as somebody who has recently read in this past week 2 5-star books that I love a lot, I'm not in a 3-star mood. I need good books. I need good soup. If I'm reading something right now, I'm kind of in a slump again. So if I'm reading something right now, I need to be really good, or I'm not gonna read it. Right? Minus one exception. I did finish one book that I wasn't liking, but that one was like 7 hours for the audiobook, not like 18. Like, Abigail Owens, what are you on? Anyways, so that's the other reason. Also, a book that I know I'm going to like, and I want to pick up instead, and this is the only time I have to do it, is if I DNF this book, because it would take me so long to read this book for me to rate it 3 stars. Like, I'm DNFing now before I get too far in and I feel like I can't DNF. You know, I don't remember the fallacy name, but you know what I'm talking about. I'd rather just go read Project Hail Mary. So that's what I'm gonna do. Goodbye. End of video stuff, links below, Wednesdays. Thank you, computer, for getting exponentially louder as soon as I do the outro. Gaming videos on Wednesdays that are slightly edited down versions of gaming streams on Twitch. I stream semi-regularly on Twitch, depending how I'm feeling. I'm very excited for next Wednesdays. Let me tell you, it is kind of my new favorite game. It's currently running up on my computer, that's why it's being a little loud right now. That's that. So Saturdays are BookTok videos like this one. I know next week's is going to be the wrap-up for this month, of which are 2 books I can talk about. That's how much I've been reading. I'm telling you, a slump. That's that. That's everything. I'm gonna go. Oh, hey, you remember when I brought up the fact that this took so long? So this actually took almost a whole year to film. We're not talking about it because the intro must have been done in May. Because of my nails, I can tell from my nails. It must have been done in May, and it is the end of April. What am I on? Anyways, this took so long to film that the video for the sequel, The Dagger and the Flame, that was in this video, was in another video that came out earlier this year. That's how long it's taken. So if you want to see my thoughts and opinions on a book that I actually really liked in this. I love how I moderately liked one. No, I really liked the second half of one. And I really love the one book. And the other ones, I was mad or really disliked. I gotta find good ones. Anyways, goodbye, the end. Until the next video.